Peace, kind of, sort of. Are we there yet? Pretty much. The Iran, Israel, America situation is dynamic, and it's getting more and more awesome. We'll have a lot to say about this a little bit later in the show. Okay, we've got some other things to cover first, but who's monitoring the peace situation like nobody's business? President Trump. Take a look at this tweet. Who does this? Only a leader like Trump. Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do it, it is a major violation. Bring your pilots home. Now! Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. I would not mess with that. Would you? Also, for all of those who are so concerned, the president did not let Congress know. Well, actually, he did. He followed the traditional mechanisms and procedures. But take a look at this. It's a fascinating dynamic, right? Without congressional approval, President Obama had 563 drone strikes and more than 100 manned airstrikes. Donald Trump, one manned airstrike, and they're already talking about impeachment. It's kind of amusing at this point, but also a waste of time, and it can get in the way. Much more on that in a little bit. But first, who was running the country for most of the past 4 years? Was it Joe Biden, or was it that random woman who was hanging out behind him? Let me see her. Now, who is that? Not exactly random, but not exactly terribly prominent, household name famous. I thought Susan Rice. Maybe it was her. Her name is Neera Tanden, and maybe she was running the country. She was running the country the entire time? Let me see that fancy OTS we got. Yes, there it is. Could it be? It's possible. James Comer, the Oversight Committee, they're looking into who was actually controlling the Autopen, and for a big chunk of time, she had authorization to use that pen and to sign all kinds of things. So, Neera Tanden, who is she? She's 54 years old. She's been in politics for a long time, Clinton, Obama campaigns, and senior advisor / staff secretary to Joe Biden. And the Autopen was in high use. You know what an Autopen is, right? It's, a mechanical pen. It does all the work for you. And that's great. And it's been around for a long time. They used it, I think, President Wilson or something was the first guy to actually break out the Autopen. And in fairness, every administration does the Autopen. Now, for instance, if you're a Boy Scout, right? Check out our guy over here. And you make Eagle Scout. I never made Eagle Scout myself, but you get a nice big letter from, drop the banner please, the President of the United States. And that's not President Trump's real signature, okay? It's fine. It's an Autopen. And I think our Eagle Scout here understands that. Joe Biden did the same thing. Every Eagle Scout in the country, Eagle Scout, congratulations, gets a signed letter of congratulations. But it was a bit more, sensitive when it came to the Biden Autopen. We know, thanks to the Heritage Foundation, that the Autopen was unquestionably being used. They compared all of the pardons and noticed that the signature was identical. Now, that's impossible. Everybody's signature varies just a little bit, right? Just a little bit. You know, you never sign it exactly the same way. So that's an automatic pen. And who got some of the automatic pardons, perhaps? Fauci, Cheney, Schiff, Milley. And that is no good. Now, there is a possibility, as corrupt as I believe Joe Biden to have been, could they have pulled this scheme behind his back because he was so out of it? Could they have pulled it off? That's what they're trying to find out. So they bring this Neera Tanden person in, and they ask her some questions, and the Washington Times lays it out for us. She said during her testimony today that she was responsible for handling the flow of documents to and from the president. Next, please. Tanden was authorized to direct Autopen use, from October of 2021 to May of 2023, all right? Tanden confirmed that during her tenure as White House staff secretary, she oversaw the many documents coming to and from the president's desk. All right, what else? She claimed authorization to direct Autopen use. Now, we'll get the full transcript ultimately. James Comer was in the room, and he told us this. He was focused on whether any executive actions were authorized without Biden's explicit approval, right? Were they just signing this stuff willy-nilly? And whether the Autopen was used to bypass the president at any point during his tenure. We're going to get the transcript soon, but isn't it kind of logical behind Joe Biden's back? I mean, how easy was it to pull a fast one on this guy? Okay, we all saw it. He was falling apart. He wasn't exactly a micromanager, was he? And there's something about this Tanden person, when she came out and tried to tell everybody it was no big deal, I answered their questions, and then she gets very touchy and defensive at one point. This is just a few hours ago.
A brief comment.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just spoke with the House Oversight Committee, Majority and Minority Council. I answered every question, was pleased to discuss my public service, and it was a thorough process, and I'm glad I answered every question.
Was there an effort to disguise President Biden's condition?
Absolutely not.
Ooh, notice anything? The total change in demeanor and tenor? I asked every question. I was happy to do so. Were you asked any serious questions about Joe Biden's mental health? Absolutely not. There's something up. There's also something up with this lady, according to Washington, D.C. standards. Now, she tweets a lot. Let's see here. Did I see that tweet? Yeah. What did she say? We all know with certainty that Trump not only ensures we are defenseless from another attack from Russia, he welcomes it. Now, I've seen some pretty nasty tweets. That's okay. Yeah, she doesn't like Trump. Let's face it. Trump can give it as good as he gets it. But it violated some protocol in the swamp. And they would not let her hear the end of this when she got nominated for a big job.
You wrote that Susan Collins is, quote, the worst, that Tom Cotton is a fraud, that vampires have more heart than Ted Cruz. You called Leader McConnell Moscow Mitch and Voldemort, and on and on. I wonder specifically, how do you plan to mend fences and build relationships with members of Congress you have attacked through your public statements?
Senator, I very much appreciate that question. I recognize the concern. I deeply regret and apologize for my language.
Totally sincere, right? Not. There's something up. I mean, something like, look, Moscow Mitch. Who wasn't called Mitch McConnell a name in a heat of anger? I don't know. But it goes on from there, and so does her insincerity / phoniness in the answers, and possibly a little bit of deception.
So help me understand how the personal religious beliefs of some Americans could be a successful political cudgel.
Well, Senator, first of all, I want to say that if for anyone offended by my language, I feel badly about that. I think in that regard, I was more speaking to people who politicize religion, not people who believe in religion.
I understand you've taken them back, but did you mean them?
I'd say the discourse over the last 4 years on all sides has been incredibly polarized.
I'm asking about yours. Did you mean them?
I really feel badly about them, Senator.
I don't know. It reminds me of the way, I don't know, certain guys might apologize to certain girlfriends from time to time. There's just I'm sorry you're feeling so bad about this. Was she using the Autopen, running the country? We'll find out the whole story eventually. She did have one interesting observation, though, that I think is spot on. Neera Tanden. She once said this, somewhat famously, about Obama. The truth is, Obama doesn't call anyone, and he's not close to almost anyone. It's stunning that he's in politics because he really doesn't like people. I think she nailed that one. Yeah. All right, so what's going to happen next? They're going to bring more people, top aides to Joe Biden, including his doctor. This guy's a bit of a character, kept writing those notes that he was, in perfect health when he had the cancer, it looks like. And this fellow next to the First Lady, Jill Biden, whose name is Bernal, the guy on the left, very, very powerful. At one point, he was more powerful, they say, than the actual chief of staff. He was the chief of staff to the First Lady. Did he have more power than the chief of staff to the president? Because did the First Lady have more power than the president at one point? It's all going to come out. It will all come out. All right. Next, please. Peace is at hand. It's getting a little bit, I think it's kind of starting to sink in Yes, there have been some skirmishes. There's been some, extra munitions laying around the house. And it really frustrated President Trump this morning, rather famously, and it's kind of cool, too.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
And there he goes. And now I know that a lot of people pretend to be appalled by that language. I'm sorry, I've walked down the street in Manhattan, okay? I've been to the movies. It's unfortunate. We don't want our kids saying it. Then again, I don't think kids are going to be watching the gaggle of reporters right before Mirroring One at 7:30 in the morning. I can live with it, and I think the American people can. Those who make a big deal out of this are doing it for, I don't know, somehow they think they're supposed to. These presidents that we've been through, the silly ones, each one has been caught at some point or another using a bad word. There are a lot of reasons to not like these guys. Using the bad word is not one of those reasons. President Trump put out an interesting tweet again, telling Israel to get in line. Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. Nobody will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect. Now, that reminded me of a couple of things, actually. The plane wave, what about that? There are some remnants who just want to keep fighting, kind of like after World War II. You know, when they finally told the Japanese soldiers, hey, the emperor gave up, some of them didn't want to believe that. And some of them hung around for years on Guam and Okinawa. This guy apparently famously hung around for 20 years after the fight was actually over. And that got me thinking again about the whole B-2 bomber and what happened in Iran, because Guam, that's where there were a lot of Japanese fighters for years afterwards. Did you notice this? We talked about it yesterday. There are only 20 B-2 bombers in existence right now, and there was a max of 21 at one point.
And with there only being 21 of these aircraft ever built, and 20 flying today, it's a tight-knit community. And because of that, and the fact that the aircraft isn't easy to learn to fly, it's a highly selective process to even enter training.
So 21 were built, 20 are still flying. It made me think, what happened to that 21st plane? It crashed, and it crashed in Guam, and it was a computer malfunction. And check this out. Drop the banner, please. They're about to eject. Both pilots survived, by the way. Whoa. Is that wild or what? $2 billion destroyed. It was some sort of a computer systems issue. It was not the fault of the pilots, but it's a reminder that it's a dangerous business up there. I also want to point out this, when they came home from the Iran mission and they landed in Missouri, it's just fascinating to me that at some point, after they debriefed, they go home. They get in their car and they go home. They took off from Missouri, they fly to Iran, they fly all the way back to Missouri, and then what? You go to the grocery store. I talked about this with one of the B-2 pilots. After some of the missions in Afghanistan, you'd see the guy, 6 hours later mowing his lawn. And that's a whole new type of potential PTSD, actually. They're starting to see it with UAV pilots, drone pilots. So these drones are amazing, and they can take out buildings, vehicles, people, all the way overseas, and they're flown, actually, in America. A drone in the Middle East is generally flown by a couple of guys in a hangar in Nevada, about 40 miles outside of Las Vegas. And then for these guys, what is it like for them? They kill people at work, not necessarily that guy in particular, but guys like him. They kill people, and that's part of the mission. And then you're shopping at the mall just a few minutes later. It's kind of incredible. And it's another reason why we should admire and also look out for our men and women in uniform.
Information. Truth is freedom. is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.